Listening. Directions in listening section, you will hear monologues, dialogues, and academic talks.
A special flag.
Have you ever heard the story of the person who made the first United States flag? She made it even before the country had its name. The King of England still ruled the country. Many people did not want the king to be in charge though. They wanted to be a free country. That is why George Washington and two other men went to see Betsy Ross one day in the year 1776. They were going to fight for a free country, and they wanted that country to have a flag. Betsy Ross was known for her fine work with cloth. She was the right person to make a special flag. First, she and the three men talked about what kind of flag it should be. Then, Betsy Ross set to work on the idea. She used 3 colors of cloth: red, white, and blue. She made red and white stripes. Next, she put white stars on blue cloth. Finally, she put the parts together. Everyone agreed that the flag she had made was just right for the new country.
Number 1. Which of these things happened first?
Letter A. Betsy Ross made red and white stripes. Letter B. George Washington went to see Betsy Ross. Letter C. Everyone agreed that the flag was just right.
The correct answer is letter B. George Washington went to see Betsy Ross.
Number 2. What did Betsy Ross do after she put white stars on blue cloth?
Letter A. She made red and white stripes. Letter B. She talked with the 3 men. Letter C. She put the parts together.
The correct answer is letter C. She put the parts together.
Number 3. Which of these things happened last?
Letter A. Everyone agreed that the flag was just right. Letter B. Betsy Ross made red and white stripes. Letter C. Betsy spoke to the 3 men.
The correct answer is letter A. Everyone agreed that the flag was just right.
Reading. In this section, you will be required to read 2 passages on varying topics. After each passage, you will answer questions to test your ability to understand vocabulary, writer's point of view, factual information, and sentence structures.
Reading number 1. No gym required. How to get fit at home? Source: www.webmd.com.
Number 1. The author implies that.
Letter A. Burning calories does not choose a venue. Letter B. Eating is a big variable in staying fit. Letter C. Cardiovascular exercise needs a warm-up program.
The correct answer is letter A. Burning calories does not choose a venue.
Number 2. According to the passage, a fitness program includes the following.
Letter A. Flexibility moves, cardiovascular exercises, cool down, stretching. Letter B. Warm-up, resistance exercises, cool down, strength and conditioning. Letter C. Cardiovascular exercises, a warm-up, a cool down, flexibility moves, resistance moves.
The correct answer is letter C. cardiovascular exercises, a warm-up, a cool-down, flexibility moves, resistance moves.
Number 3. Which is probably true?
Letter A. A slow-pace exercise gives more results. Letter B. Little effort or money is needed to design an effective workout program at home. Letter C. Abdominal crunches is the best resistance exercise.
The correct answer is letter B. Little effort or money is needed to design an effective workout program at home. Reading number 2. Tell me, which vaccine is the best? Source: www.yalemedicine.org.
Number 1. How does the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine work?
Letter A. The cells produce a spike protein to train the body's immune system, which creates antibodies and memory cells to protect against an actual SARS-CoV-2 infection. Letter B. It uses a relatively new technology. Unlike vaccines that put a weakened or inactivated disease germ into the body, this vaccine delivers a tiny piece of genetic code from the SARS-CoV-2 virus to host cells in the body, essentially giving those cells instructions, or blueprints, for making copies of spike proteins. Letter C. This is a carrier vaccine, which uses a different approach than the mRNA vaccines to instruct human cells to make the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein.
The correct answer is letter B. It uses a relatively new technology. Unlike vaccines that put a weakened or inactivated disease germ into the body, this vaccine delivers a tiny piece of genetic code from the SARS-CoV-2 virus to host cells in the body, essentially giving those cells instructions, or blueprints, for making copies of spike proteins.
Number 2. Which is probably true?
Letter A. Comparison of vaccines are done for the safety of the consumers. Letter B. Comparison of vaccines offer different price range for consumers. Letter C. Comparison of vaccines shows the pros and cons of each vaccine.
The correct answer is letter A. Comparison of vaccines are done for the safety of the consumers.
Number 3. What is the correct dosage when taking the Moderna jab?
Letter A. 2 shots, 21 days apart. Letter B. Single shot. Letter C. 2 shots, 28 days apart.
The correct answer is letter C. 2 shots, 28 days apart. Vocab. In this section you will learn vocabulary words with its meanings, and examples. In the test, there are 5 questions and you have 10 seconds to answer each question.
Component. A noun. A part or element of a larger whole, especially a part of a machine or vehicle.
For example, Mr. Jones had to go to the shop to buy a component for his car stereo.
Program. A noun. A set of related measures or activities with a particular long-term aim.
For example, President Biden did a good job during his meeting when he presented an in-depth program of reforms.
Stimulate. A verb. Encourage interest or activity in a person or animal.
For example, the massive book collection in the library stimulated the students to read more.
Immune. An adjective. Resistant to a particular infection or toxin owing to the presence of specific antibodies or sensitized white blood cells.
For example, there were a group of workers who were warned to be immune to heart disease.
Penetrate. A verb. Succeed in forcing a way into or through a thing.
For example, the stray bullets had penetrated the victim's head and chest.
Quiz time.
Number 1. A. In her computer got broken and needs to be fixed. A noun. A part or element of a larger whole, especially a part of a machine or vehicle.
Letter A. Component. Letter B. Program. Letter C. Stimulate. Letter D. Immune. Letter E. Penetrate.
The correct answer is letter A. A component in her computer got broken and needs to be fixed.
Number 2. The would generate a lot of new jobs. A noun. A set of related measures or activities with a particular long-term aim.
Letter A. Component. Letter B. Program. Letter C. Stimulate. Letter D. Immune. Letter E. Penetrate.
The correct answer is letter B. The program would generate a lot of new jobs.
Number 3. Teachers are trained to the child's cognitive processes. A verb. Encourage interest or activity in a person or animal.
Letter A. Component. Letter B. Program. Letter C. Stimulate. Letter D. Immune. Letter E. Penetrate.
The correct answer is letter C. Teachers are trained to stimulate the child's cognitive processes.
Number 4. The vaccination doesn't necessarily make you completely an adjective. Resistant to a particular infection or toxin owing to the presence of specific antibodies or sensitized white blood cells.
Letter A. Component. Letter B. Program. Letter C. Stimulate. Letter D. Immune. Letter E. Penetrate.
The correct answer is letter D. The vaccination doesn't necessarily make you completely immune.
Number 5. The light could not through the thick curtains. A verb. Succeed in forcing a way into or through a thing.
Letter A. Component. Letter B. Program. Letter C. Stimulate. Letter D. Immune. Letter E. Penetrate.
The correct answer is letter E. The light could not penetrate through the thick curtains.
Speaking section.
Vaccine for coronavirus. Is it safe to take a jab?
All 3 vaccines, Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, authorized for emergency use by the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, have been thoroughly tested and found to be safe and effective in preventing severe COVID-19. They continue to undergo continuous and intense safety monitoring. Trials for the vaccines have had fully independent safety monitoring boards, and safety data are continuously reviewed by the FDA and expert panels. Reports show that the number of serious problems in test participants was very low, and there was little difference between those who received the actual vaccine and those who received a placebo. Safety is always a top priority as federal agencies work with vaccine manufacturers to develop and authorize new vaccines. Here are some of the steps. A. Careful testing. B. Authorization for emergency use. C. Continuous monitoring for problems and side effects. Once a vaccine gets an emergency use authorization, EUA, and is being given to people, the FDA and the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, continue to watch carefully to make sure no problems arise. Data on the vaccine's safety record accumulates over time when more and more people who receive it report on their experience and any side effects they experience.